Hey y'all, I'm Derek and welcome back to my 2 cents for the discount bin. For those of you just tuning in, this is a show where I go to a purveyor of DVDs, I scrounge around the discount bin, I find something at random and tell you what I think about it. Now, this show has 3 simple rules. 1, I can't have seen the movie before. 2, the movie can't cost more than $10. And 3, it can't be a mainstream movie. It has to be either straight to DVD, or if it did come out in theaters, it had to be a very limited run. Something like less than 1,000 theaters. First of all, how I gotta lock my hair. It's been so hot I had to cut it all off and it feels so much better. Now we get to the last chapter of the Maneater series triple feature, Black Swarm. And I'm interested in this one because it stars Robert Englund, and anything that he's in is usually gold. Not because it's necessarily a good movie, but he just makes it watchable. So let's see if our $7 was well worth it, y'all. What did I just watch? Oh my god, I can't even tell you the story really. There's just so many plot points in this movie. There's like so many plot lines and none of them are really fleshed out properly, so it's like trying to connect the dots with only half a page and one eye covered. So it starts off with a bug exterminator spraying some stuff on a wasp's nest, and it just explodes in fire and he dies. And then it cuts to a woman and her child moving back to this small town where everybody knows your name. You know, it's another one of those just like the other 2 in this series. But then it gets all convoluted with wasps making zombies, and the government is in on it, and Robert Englund playing Eli the beekeeper, who they're setting up as the bad guy. But that just turns into a red herring. It turns out that the government's the bad guy, because you know the government's always the bad guy. And oh my god, the CGI on these wasps. It's like there are certain scenes where people are just covered in wasps, but they don't really have an expression. Sort of like Nicolas Cage in The Wicker Man, the famous scene that was cut with him going, "Not the bees! Not the bees! They're in the eyes!" And they're obviously not in their eyes because it's very hard to layer CGI on top of eyes. There's so many plot points that are just thrown out, and some of them stick, some of them don't. Like first and second acts are very, very long. They really are. The first act is all exposition, and how everybody's related to everybody else, and the whole thing about the small town. And then the second act is very long, and it's very hard to keep your attention on all of the drama because there's just so much going on at once. Like, there's so many twists and turns, and not in a good way. Because it's like they wanted it to be such a great movie. So they kept adding all these different tropes from horror and action movies until it was just a muddled blob of the government came and killed my baby. As you can tell, I'm not talking about the plot that much because the plot is convoluted as heck. And honestly, I didn't mind too much. I mean, it did sort of slog on through certain points, but overall it was a fun little movie, and I'm just watching it like, what the heck? So I would say that this in and of itself was worth the $7. This and Swamp Devil were actually fun to watch. Eye of the Beast, not so much. Technicals. First, writing. Terrible. Writing is terrible. There are certain points that it is just so preachy. It feels like they were going for the old style 1950s science fiction, we've meddled in God's domain sort of thing, but they shove it down your throat so much that it's not subtle at all, and it can turn people off because it's just so preachy about how bad mankind is. The CGI was bad. And you could tell it was bad. You could tell it was low grade, but it wasn't bad enough to take away from the fact that the acting is atrocious. So, is it bad that you have to say stuff like that? The CGI was bad, but let me tell you about the acting. Oh my god. I'm so glad that this movie paid off so much, because it was a lot of fun to watch. It really was. Because you knew that these people thought they had a gem, and it just didn't turn out that way. What it turned out as is a movie that's fun to watch because you're like, why am I watching this? I'm sure that this was a made-for-TV movie again. Just the way it was filmed, it felt really TV oriented. Yeah, I guess this is just going to be a really short episode because I can't really describe the plot because it was so convoluted. There are a lot of tropes. There's the Dr. Science lady who's trying to hit on the hero, and it turns out that she's actually a bad guy because she's a government agent, and the government is bad in this movie. Robert Englund is actually a red herring, and the way that they handle it actually makes sense. Given the context of the story, that doesn't mean it's good. So let's go ahead and open the forum up for discussion. Have you seen this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was funny? Did you think it sucked? Did you think it was actually a good movie? Leave me a comment down below and let's see what you think. So that's my opinion on Black Swarm. It was worth the $7 just to get that movie. Will I watch it again? Probably not. I don't feel bad for watching it, but other than that, yeah. It was ridiculous. Well, thanks for stopping by, thanks for tuning in, and come back next week to see what the discount bin has in store.